Okay, in today's video, I'm going to be talking about exactly why liquidity and volume are the most important metrics when trading memecoins. In fact, a lot more important than market cap and FTV. I'm going to be going through like a full analysis. I'm talking about, net volume, what exactly liquidity is, how it relates to volume, and how it also relates to market cap. So this is going to be a detailed video, mainly for beginners or people who don't fully understand how liquidity relates to market cap and stuff like that, and all the relations that go on. And so this is going to be a full video explaining why volume is the most important concept and liquidity as well. So first of all, let's actually talk about what the difference between liquidity and market cap actually is, or FTV is. So first of all, actual liquidity is the amount of basically tokens in either Sol and the actual memecoin token that are stored in liquidity for like the trading pool. So basically the pool is where you exchange. So basically when you put a buy and sell order, when it actually goes through a pool. So I'm going to go over and show you where this pool actually is. So if you go over here to pair and you go over, you see this contract address. We're going to open it in SolScan. Now this is the actual Radium pool address for this token. So for this token you might have several pool addresses. So if I copy the CA of this token and just go here and paste it in, you can have several pool addresses for Radium. You have several on Meteora, as well as you can see here there are several Meteoras with different Meteora pools with different pair addresses, as you can see here. So yeah, we're going to be looking at the Radium pool today, but to actually understand what liquidity is just basically the amount of it's the amount that's actually stored within the pool that you can trade with. So like I said, each of these buy and sell orders, what they're actually doing is trading with the liquidity pool. That's the technical term for it. It's called a liquidity pool. So as you can see here, when we're looking at this pair address, the Radium pair address for this meme coin, so basically this like liquidity pool, as you can see, we have the token balance, we have the wrap. So you've got 674 wrap Sol and this amount of Montoya, and as you can see, we've got the total value locked TVL, and that's 250 grand. So yeah, as you can see here, this is similar here to the actual liquidity that's here as well. So the difference between liquidity and FTV is that each token has its own basically what you have is an LP ratio, which will actually define the amount of liquidity to the market cap. So to find the LP ratio, I'm going to use Safe Analyzer. So as you can see, I've put this into Safe Analyzer and I can actually see the actual LP ratio, which is 7% in the Radium pool. So it's giving me the Radium pool for the LP ratio. And as you can see here, that was using you might be like, oh, okay, it's not 77%, it's higher than 7%. It's because it's actually using the Sol amount, so the liquid Sol amount, which is 131k. And obviously the liquid Sol amount is more important than the actual tokens, because obviously the tokens they don't have any real value. I mean, they have value, but they don't have any real value, because we know the price of Sol won't fluctuate much, but obviously the price of the meme coin kind of fluctuate a lot. But when we're buying with Sol, what's happening is that we're actually putting Sol into the liquidity pool and taking Montoya out of the liquidity pool. So, and then when we sell Montoya, we're actually taking Sol out of the liquidity pool, and that's what causes the price to drop. So when you have very low market cap meme coins, the LP ratio will usually be a lot higher, because obviously you need more liquidity to hold the coin together. But for very, very high market cap coins, we're talking in the millions, we're talking in tens of millions, hundreds of millions, the LP ratio starts to decrease, because obviously the coin becomes more stable and you need less liquidity to kind of hold the FTV and everything, and you rely more on volume. But for very low market cap coins, LP ratios are usually quite high. You probably see them 20-30%, etc. But yeah, that's liquidity. That's basically just the amount that is actually in the pool, and what's more important is the amount of wraps sold that's actually in the pool, which is 674 wraps sold. But yeah, how does liquidity actually relate to we already said how it relates to market cap and FTV, but how does it now relate to volume? Well, you see, when there's buy and sell pressure here, we're actually taking money out of the liquidity. So you see, for this sell here, it's taken 7 SOL out of liquidity. So that would mean that 7 SOL has been taken here from this wrap liquidity pool. And the issue is, when we're actually selling the token, we're causing sell pressure. This means that the actual amount of SOL in liquidity starts to reduce. And when that happens, guess what? When the liquidity reduces, the market cap will reduce, because obviously liquidity and market cap are related. Like I said, we have the LP ratio, which is the actual, the amount of liquidity compared to the market cap that's actually here. So as you can see here, we have 1.9 million, 131K liquid. So this is the LP ratio, and as you can see, we have 7% liquid as a wrap SOL compared to the market cap. So when that happens, obviously, the amount of liquidity reduces when we sell for SOL. When we sell Montonia tokens for SOL, and that means that for the actual pair, more Montonia tokens are put into the pool, and there's less wrap SOL. So this reduces the value of the Montonia tokens, and the price of the tokens reduce. But it's not like they reduce by us selling by let's say we sell like 10k. It's not going to reduce the value of Montonia tokens by 10k. It's going to reduce the value of Montonia tokens by taking 10k out of liquidity, which is going to see a way bigger fluctuation in price than just taking 10k. It's not just going to be like, oh yeah, the price fell by really, really small percentage. It's going to be like, okay, yeah, we just took 10k in wrap SOL out of liquidity. That's going to cause like quite a big sharp dip in the price. Like, this is how meme coins are traded. Meme coins are traded, with low liquidity. That's how people like to trade. Low liquidity, high volume, especially with pump funds, because pump funds in general have pretty low liquidity. Really, obviously they all have the same LP ratio, the same the same mechanism basically when it comes to LP versus FTV. Like back in the day, you used to have some very high liquidity tokens. Like I think you had Slurf, and you also had a Bohm. Like Bohm is a good example of a high liquidity token. And people sometimes just ape into these high liquidity tokens just because the high liquidity is. As you can see here, we have 28 million in liquidity, and this is the FDV here. So this is what I consider high liquidity token. The price won't fluctuate much with liquidity, but here, but for normal pump from meme coins, like if I was to find one that was around 135 million market cap, the liquidity wouldn't be. Let's pull up Photon. As you can see here, the market cap is like 3 times as high, but the actual liquidity is almost half the actual liquidity of Bohm. So yeah, this is like less liquidity in the actual meme coin, and this isn't even liquidity has actually been added to Photon, as you can see here, because not all of it is burned. So 25% of it was actually added by people. So there's less meant to be actually less liquidity here. But yeah, as you can see, high liquidity tokens fluctuate less in price because obviously they have more liquidity. If I actually open up the pair address here, as you can see here, it's got 14 million in wrapped SOL. So is the price of it's going to fluctuate less because you're going to need to sell more. Like if I was to sell 10k of Bohm, for example, let's increase it to, let's make it fair when comparing it to Montonia. Let's say I was going to sell 100k. Like it's not going to have the biggest, it's not going to cause a big dip, not as much as a dip. Like it might cause like a slightly sharp dip here on the price. but it's not going to be like the biggest dip because there's a lot of liquidity here for this token. Now if I was to sell 1 million, which is a lot, that's a lot, like that would actually cause quite a big dip, but it wouldn't. I'd probably go down around here. It's like not the craziest dip, and 1 million is a lot. Now if I was to sell 1 million of Altcoin on the other hand, that would actually cause an even larger dip, so that could bring the price probably down, somewhere around here, maybe somewhere around here. So yeah, honestly, it depends on the token. Like bet more liquidity is better. But with pump funds, with the market here, you don't really have a choice. Everything's low liquidity. So now it comes to the important concept of actually, what is volume? Because volume now is the only thing that can help us when we have low liquidity tokens. So now you have to think to yourself, how exactly does volume relate to liquidity? So in my personal opinion, volume is actually the most important part of trading any meme coin. You always need to be watching the volume, and you need to also be making sure that it's legitimate volume, it's not fake volume as well, because people make entire livings just trading high volume meme coins. Like I'm telling you, people make hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars just trading, high volume meme coins. They don't really look at the market cap, they don't really care. They just look at the volume and they just make sure that the volume is good and it can hold the actual market cap. And the narrative is also, of course, they're also looking at the narrative as well. Everyone should be looking at the narrative. But they focus on volume, and you can make an entire decent living just looking at high volume tokens. Now, why exactly is volume so important? Now, like I said before, liquidity, it relates to market cap. But guess what? When we're exchanging, when we're buying and selling tokens, these tokens are, going into liquidity or being taken out of liquidity. And when that happens, guess what? When there's extra buy volume, when there's a net amount of buy volume, as you can see here, there's 4% more buy volume than sell volume. When there's a net amount of buy volume, guess what? That extra buy volume is added to liquidity, and that causes the price to go up exponentially, because obviously, everything comes down to liquidity. The actual market cap and FTV both depend on liquidity. So when that liquidity increases because of the net buy volume, and that causes the price of the token to increase significantly. So you always want to be watching liquidity. You always want to be looking for a net amount of liquidity. Now, if I go over to Axiom, here if I actually open up Montana here on Axiom, it's a lot easier for me to actually see the net volume. So as you can see here, I've seen a 1.4k in net volume. Now, of course, you can still do this easy on Dex Screener. You'll still be able to easily see if there's a net volume, but just by looking at it. But obviously here it shows me the actual amount in net volume, the actual amount that's been added to liquidity in the past hour. So as I can see here, there's been 27k added to the liquidity pool in the past hour. So that's why the price of the token has increased significantly over the past hour, as you can see here. So you want to be watching volume, you want to be looking for buy volume, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what market cap you're at. If there's enough volume, the price will go up, because if there's a lot of volume, it means that even if there's sell pressure, because at the end of the day, what's going to bring the market cap of a token down? Sell pressure. It's that sell volume. There's a lot of volume, and it usually means that there's also a lot of buy volume as well, because what's happening here when we're seeing all these you see here at the top of this curve, when there's swings and buy and sell, this is when assets are being exchanged. All these little points here, this is when we're exchanging tokens from sellers to buyers who have conviction in the token. So when there's a lot of volume here at places like this, for example, if you press shift here, as you can see here, there was 5 million in volume in 24 hours. That's a lot of volume. In 24 minutes, that's a lot of volume. That's a ton of volume, especially for a token that was only a few 100k in market cap at the time. And that means that there's a lot of there's a lot of tokens going into the hands of buyers from sellers. So and that's obviously pushing the price up. As you can see here, the price up went up significantly. Now let me show you. If you just press shift as well, you can you do this on trading view charts where you can actually see the volume. There was 13 million in volume over here to reach 6 million market cap. But a lot of the volume here actually happened at the start, because obviously you want to take out the paper hands, the sellers. You want to get them out as quick as possible. So they all got taken out at the start. There was only 4 million volume to get to 800k market cap, but as you can see from there, the token was able to hit 6 million with just an extra 10 million in volume, which compared to the 4 million here to get to 800k, it isn't, it's not that much. It's not as much as the volume that was going on here basically for that specific like market cap of 800k. So yeah, so when those hands are exchanged, obviously you still need a good narrative to keep the token price, to keep it going up. But when there's a low amount of volume, this is what causes the actual price to drop. Not all the time, but most of the time, especially for new pairs, you don't want low amounts of volume. Especially at the very start, you need like quite high amounts of volume. Like I showed you here, we needed like 4 million to get to like 900k. I'm just gonna show you the amount of volume that was here. Like there was a lot of volume, but the token was ranging. It was at 1.3, 1.4 million. Like there wasn't a lot. There was a lot of volume, but I'm guessing 6 million volume, yeah, it's pretty good. It's still ranging. I'm surprised it didn't go up with 6 million in volume. I'm guessing that people lost conviction in the narrative, or it's because it was just swinging, because usually a lot of this stuff is momentum based. Like this was over hours and hours. Usually what you want is like a lot of volume in a very tight amount of space, because you're gonna put, it all comes down to pressure basically. There might have been a lot of volume here going on throughout these hours, but this is over a 12-hour period. Like this isn't real pressure, because here we had 4 million volume in 24 minutes, and here we've got 5 million over 12 hours. There's more pressure going on here and here and here, and there's actual buy pressure going on here. So you want actual pressure. You don't want to just be looking at volume. You want to be looking at buy pressure. You want to be looking at how much buy volume is happening in a specific period of time, and that's going to help you understand how much higher a token can go and why exactly it has gone this high. So as you can see here on this token here, this was after a lot of range, and this was after most of the paper hands were taken. At this point here, you're only going to have conviction holders, and then guess what happens? You just see this massive spike in 1 minute 5 buy volume, and there probably wasn't a crazy amount of volume here. Okay, there was actually quite a lot of volume here, 10 million in volume. Okay, that's like a decent amount. I'll say for a token that's after a day, that's quite almost a day old, like that's quite a lot of volume. Like 10 million here to get to 10 million market cap, like that's a fair amount of volume. But yeah, the token rose to 10 million, 11 million in market cap, and that was because there was just a lot of buy pressure in such a short amount of time. We're talking 10 million in 28 minutes. Like that is a strong amount of buy pressure, and that's why we see this huge spike here. And there was also a lot of sell pressure as well, actually, because even though we see this huge spike here, this huge pump, guess what's happening here? We have this very, very quick dip. This is all happening in minutes, by the way. I'm on the 1 minute chart. So this all happened in a few minutes, probably less than 20-30 minutes. I want to see how much sell pressure was actually going on here. So we had about 3-4 million in sell pressure. It's not net sell pressure, it's still buy volume going on here as well. But yeah, obviously there was a lot of sell pressure here to cause this dip. So maybe buyers didn't have that much conviction in it, and now as you can see here, it's raging again. Well, yeah, in my opinion, this is why I always say that the most important metrics when looking at tokens is actually 5 minute volume and also maybe 1 hour volume as well. But 5 minute volume, in my opinion, since especially when you're looking at new pairs, since meme coins trade super fast, you're gonna want to be always looking at that 5 minute volume, especially for new pairs because in my opinion, when a new coin launches, this is when you're going to have the most eyes on it. It's also when you're going to have a lot of sell pressure if the narrative isn't like insane. You might have a lot of buy pressure as well, obviously, but a lot of these guys who buy and pump fund here who get in really early, a lot of them just want to get out quick. There might be a lot of bundlers. People aren't sure whether or not the token is legit, if it's a project, for example. So there's going to be a lot of sell pressure for people who quickly get into profit. So people quickly make profit, they're going to want to dump on you. So you want to make sure that the volume is strong, that there's a lot of volume, especially in the 5 minute volume. The 5 minute volume can usually give you a little bit of a, can help you predict when a token might potentially dump. A 5 minute volume isn't good for a new pair that saw a lot of volume before the dump. Let me pull up a new pair real quick. If the 5 minute volume isn't good for a new pair that saw a lot of volume, so let's say this pumped, for example, to let's say like 400-500k and it saw quite a bit of volume. If volume starts to stagnate at an all-time high, this is telling me that okay, yeah, this might potentially dump. Like 5 minute volume isn't looking good, it's looking quite dry. When it was over here, 5 minute volume was a lot more. When it was ranging around 280k, it was about 2 to 3 times more. Now we feel all-time highs, 5 minute volume has reduced. This is potentially telling me the token might potentially drop, and there's going to be a lot of sell pressure soon because there isn't enough buy pressure to actually hold this all-time high, especially for the fact that this is a new pair. So now I'm going to go ahead and actually sell this token. I'm going to wait for the dip. Let's say it dips 60% to around 180 to 200k or something like that, and then I go ahead, I buy back the token when I think buy 5 minute volume looks like it's doing slightly better. Maybe the 5 minute volume is the same as it was at all-time high, so I decide to buy back. And then obviously I'm looking for an increase in 5 minute volume. I don't want to see that decrease. If I don't see an increase, if it's still staying quite stagnant or it's reducing, I might start clipping slowly. If it starts increasing nicely, there's a net volume, it doesn't range for too long, I see like a nice sharp bounce back, then I'll hold the token. So you always want to be analyzing volume, always want to be understanding how exactly volume equates to liquidity, to market cap, and you want to understand how much net volume is actually going into the token, because obviously that net volume is what's added to liquidity, and whatever is added to liquidity is what causes the market cap and the FTV to go up. So yeah, I hope this was an informative video for you guys. This was mainly for beginners or people who don't really understand what liquidity is. But yeah, I hope you learned a lot from this video. If you have any questions, make sure you comment down below. I'll be free to answer. Also, make sure you join our Discord as well. I'll also be answering our questions through there. Yeah, honestly, have a nice day, and I'll see you later.